This week on Dance of Joy, we talk about night court, snow jobs, and our favorite John Corbett roles. All that and more as we watch Season 4, Episode 12 of our favorite 80s hit sitcom, Perfect Strangers. Hello, listener, and welcome to Dance of Joy, a Perfect Strangers rewatch podcast. My name is Imran. I'm here with you every Friday. TGIF. Happy TGIF. Joining me, as always, my sister, Sophia. What's up, Sophia?
Hey, Imran. Happy TGIF. Is that a thing? Happy
I don't know. You only YOLO once. You know what they say.
You only YOLO once. Yes.
Only TGIF on Fridays. I'm not talking about the restaurant.
Okay, wait. Focus. I have to do this podcast very quickly. I might have to break because I'm waiting for a very important phone call because I might be getting a promotion.
Okay. That's exciting.
That is exciting. So
that loosely ties into our episode.
That's all I can think of today.
There's no important...
Wait, also, I have big news.
Everybody stay off the phone.
Reginald Vell Johnson just moved into my building.
And you're getting a promotion. Nobody used the phone.
Yes.
Because we only have one phone. God forbid, it's one landline.
Yes.
Okay, that's a little bit better. I see what you do. Because we are at Season 4, Episode 12 of Perfect Strangers. This one titled Crimebusters. Who are you going to call?
Crimebusters.
No, that's different. That's
There's
different IP.
Strange.
It's a whole different franchise. A great 80s franchise, of course.
Yes. There is no reference to this name except it's just a descriptive episode name of what we're about to watch.
Pretty much. It's what they're going to be.
And what are we going to watch? If you had opened up the TV guide in the days leading up to this episode, this is what you would have read. Hired as a researcher, Larry takes a shortcut to land a story for the Chronicle's investigation team, a move that could cost him his new job and his friendship with neighbor Carl.
Oh, Carl.
Larry's getting up to some shenanigans.
It's this cast, of course, Bronson Pinchot as Balky, Mark Lindbaker as Larry. Fabulous. The best two cousins ever.
No girlfriends in this episode.
Yeah, no, we don't see the girlfriends, but we do see some of our guest cast. Jo Marie Payton as Harriet. There's a couple of random people playing police and aldermans. We'll talk about them later. And then special guest star, the great and charming Reginald Vell Johnson.
Carl Winslow.
Making his debut as Carl Winslow. We'll talk about Carl later, too. He's
so
great.
We have Harriet and Carl this time, but no Lydia. No Harriet and Lydia.
There was not enough room for Harriet to insult Lydia these 22 minutes this week because we have Carl there.
Right. This episode aired on January 20th, 1989. And as always, we must remind you that all episodes of Perfect Strangers are now streaming on IMDb TV or Amazon Prime TV. You don't need a Prime account. You just need a regular Amazon account, and there's one short commercial break in every episode. Please go there and enjoy all your Perfect Strangers.
I have breaking news about IMDb TV. I meant to put it in here.
Oh, what's that?
I'm going to tell you right now. Amazon is rebranding this service. They're renaming it.
To?
It's a horrible name. It's going to be called Amazon Freevee. FREEVEE, as in free TV. But they had to put the Amazon name in front of the streaming product.
Free Vision.
So this will happen later this month. Later, I think April 27th. Amazon rebranding IMDb TV as Freevee.
Amazon Freevee.
So there's Amazon Prime Video, which is you pay for, and now you have Amazon Freevee.
All right.
For free things.
Free.
So you get it? It's free.
Freevee.
It's free TV. It's a horrible name.
What's going on in Amazon's marketing and branding?
It's as bad as NBC's Peacock. Like, that's just not a good name, NBC. There's a lot of ways you can make fun of your streaming platform. Anyways, it is now no longer IMDb TV.
Okay. Well, it already changed?
No, it will but a little bit after when the show comes out.
So currently it's still IMDb TV. Okay. Anyway.
April 27th, it'll change.
April 27th. Mark your calendars for Amazon.
In case you're looking for it, you're like, what happened? I said, what is this Freevee? What happened to IMDb TV? That's what happened.
right, let's get into this episode. Act 1, we start, back where we're familiar in Act 1, the basement of the Chicago Chronicle. Larry's at his desk, Balky's there, and they're both staring at the phone.
Intently,
right?
yes.
Intensely, because as we foreshadowed a little bit, somebody is expecting a very important phone call. The elevator door opens and enter Harriet Winslow, and she asks if she can use the phone, and Larry freaks out and says, "Don't touch that phone." And then Harriet is like, "Excuse me, you want to rephrase that, baby?"
You do not give that tone to Harriet Winslow.
Yeah.
Harriet Winslow will not tolerate that type of tone, Larry Appleton.
So she gives him a bit of sass. He apologizes and explains that he's expecting a very important phone call, and Balky steps in to explain, "Cousin Larry is on the verge of a very big perversion."
Perversion. Larry goes, promotion.
He means promotion.
Very big promotion. That's a great mix-up. And also, you notice Balky does this a couple of times here, is when Larry corrects him, you see Bronson Pinchot looking at his lips. Balky's like staring at Larry's lips when he goes, promotion. He like looks down at his lips. He does that a couple of times. There's so many like little things he does as Balky in here that are
so
just
good.
genius. That are just genius.
And then Larry says he can't really talk about it because it's very hush-hush.
Oh.
And then without skipping a beat, Harriet goes, "Oh, you mean the job on the investigative reporting team working with Marshall and Walpole?" And
how did she know this?
Larry is perplexed. How did she know? And then Harriet just explains that people talk in the elevators and she listens. And then Balky's like, "Oh, that's what you can do, cousin. Wait in the elevator. That's where all the news is." Which is probably accurate. He probably will hear it first in the elevator, then.
I mean, we've seen Harriet see all sorts of things in the elevator. I bet Harriet hears a lot of things up and down this elevator. She says to Larry, "I hope you get your call soon." And then we find out some details about the Winslow household.
What's going on?
Harriet says, "I've got to call the phone company. We moved into your building 3 days ago and still haven't gotten our phone hooked up." And Balky goes, "Really?" And Harriet goes, "My son is going through phone withdrawal."
So even in the 80s, teenage kids.
Yeah, that would have been Eddie. Remember Eddie? Her oldest son?
Eddie Winslow.
He's talking about Eddie from Family Matters.
Okay, but I immediately, so this sets up the sort of situation of the episode, but I have questions. Like, where did they live before? They got a whole family and they're moving into an apartment?
Well, there's big apartment buildings with multiple bedrooms.
That's true.
3 days ago, they moved in. They live in the same building now. There might be a slight continuity error.
Yes.
If you remember the Piano Movers episode, which was hilarious, at the very end, remember Balky's like, "Oh, we don't have to help Harriet move into the building until next week."
Yeah, so the writers had the idea a while ago, but
that was 7 episodes ago.
Yeah.
So that was
maybe all 7 episodes happened within
one
the span of a week.
Oh my God, maybe. That's possible. If it was 7 of every episode is a day, is that how time? No, that's not how time passes in the PSU. That's crazy.
In the
but
PSU.
anyways, the phone finally rings. And they both run over to fumble, and they grab it, and they're tossing it up. It gets tangled in the lamp. And then Balky picks it up and goes, hello, yes, I'm right here. I am his cousin. He's my cousin. Just yelling nonsense into the phone until Larry grabs it and goes, Appleton, in a serious tone.
And then he goes, Appleton. And then we hear his side of the conversation. All he's saying is, yes. And then he hangs up the phone and he goes, yes.
Yes.
So apparently the call was from the very Marshall and Walpole themselves, and they want to see Larry upstairs in their office right away. So he grabs his jacket, and he's like running upstairs, and he's like, "You know what that means?" And Harriet's like, "That means I can use the phone now." Balky wishes him good luck. Harriet wishes him good luck. Larry runs to the stairs.
Yeah,
and
he's all frantic. And
he his feet sort of slide around at the bottom of the stairs as he turns the corner. It's very funny. It's very cartoony.
Yeah.
And then he runs up the stairs and Harriet's like, "Look at those little legs go."
He does have small legs.
He is a little man. It's true. And then here we get a very funny joke from Balky. So Larry's out of the scene and Balky says to Harriet that this job is so important to Cousin Larry. If he gets it, he'll feel 5 feet tall.
I love the height jokes.
I think the expression, though, is feeling...
He'll feel 8 feet tall or something.
Tall.
Yeah, well, the super tall. But 5 feet is tall for Larry Appleton. That's the joke, obviously. I love a height joke on Larry.
5 feet tall.
He's a very tiny man. With
I feel
little
5
legs.
feet tall most days. Yes.
Yeah, on a good day. Yeah. 5 feet tall. And then enter
Carl Winslow.
Reginald Bell Johnson, dressed in a policeman's uniform. That's how you know he's a cop.
Yes.
Because he's wearing, and he comes into the garage and he greets Harriet, and they share a quick kiss. And apparently they know each other already because he's like, hi, Carl. Hi. Bucky's like, hi, Carl. Carl's like, hi, Belky.
Yeah.
It's weird. This whole time, like, Larry and Belky already know Carl. Like, they've met him off screen. Of course.
They've already moved
They're
into
friends.
the building.
Yeah.
They've been friends with Harriet for a while, but we've never heard of their friendship with Carl.
And Carl brought Belky a gift, something lovely that Belky loves to collect. He brought him more wanted posters. You know how Marianne has the placemat collection? Belky has a wanted posters
for his collection. Yes.
And Belky's really excited. He's like, oh, thank you.
And then he flips through them as if they're baseball cards. And he's so excited. And he tells Harriet he's so glad she's married to a policeman. And he flips through it one by one. And he goes, got it, need it. And then he gets super excited because Carl has brought him a Joey the Fish rookie card.
Joey the Fish.
First offense. I want to know who Joey the Fish is and what his first offense was.
Joey the Fish guy's first. That's a rookie card. That's fantastic. That's a good find. That's going to be worth money later for trading.
And he thanks Carl. And we see that Carl is this, like Harriet gives him another kiss. We see that Carl Winslow is this like beloved character, both by his wife and by Belky and Larry.
And he's got great energy, Reginald Bell Johnson. Like the whole time, he seems very lovable, charming, but like you want to hang out with him.
Yeah, he's smiling. He's jovial.
Smiling. Yes, he's very jovial, so super friendly. Like he came off great in like one episode. You love Carl Winslow. Yeah. I love this gag where Harriet's like, come here. And Carl and Belky step toward her. She goes, not you, baby. To Belky. Because she wants to give Carl a kiss.
But why does she want to give Carl a kiss? Not only does she love him, but they kiss. And then she goes, how come your lips taste so sweet? Is that powdered sugar on your mouth? And Carl's like, no, it's not sugar. So even in the 80s, as far back as the 80s, well, it was bigger then, this gag that like cops just eat donuts all day long.
You know what? I think this joke is as old as like the Keystone Capers. I don't know when the cops and donuts thing, because there's another joke later about cops and free meals.
Is that real? Do you know any cops?
I don't know any cops.
I've never seen any cops.
They hang out at the Dunkin' Donuts. I mean, you see hang out at Dunkin' Donuts.
Because
I don't know where this stereotype, this joke started about cops and donuts. It's a very good question. I feel like it's very old.
Yeah, but Carl, like, here it's implying, because Carl's like kind of a bigger dude, he's got a belly, so it's implying that she's watching him about his diet.
Absolutely, and she's loving. And so the next line is Harriet goes, "Don't lie to me, you've been eating donuts."
Yeah.
And so here's the thing: what I found out is in syndication and here on Amazon TV, IMDb, Amazon Freevee, there is a line that was cut that was in there when this show originally aired.
Oh, wow.
And when it got to syndication, they cut it on reruns. They had put it back in briefly, but it's not here.
Oh, interesting.
And
I wonder why.
This is I'll tell you, I think they got a little sensitive.
Yeah.
Some sensitive talk, but this is 1989. So this was what the line was after Carl goes, no, it's not sugar. He goes, it's cocaine. Yeah, we made a big bust, and I had to taste the stuff to make sure it was real. And he goes, "Phew, fools that use that junk." And he makes a nasty face. And then she says, "Don't lie to me. You've been eating donuts."
So that's funny, actually, because it implies like she's on him about his diet.
But cocaine would have been fine.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't powdered sugar.
Usually you would lie the other way, right?
Exactly.
Like, sir, officer, this is not cocaine. It's just a powdered donut.
No, it wasn't. Donut was cocaine. Yeah. It was for work. I had a work thing. But interesting, they cut that out and they left it out.
Probably because it's a family show.
It's a family show. They reference kind of a hard drug. I mean,
cocaine was probably not appropriate.
Anyways, yes. So I thought that was interesting that was cut out. So she goes, "You've been eating donuts." And then Belky goes, "Oh, Carl, did you have some of the ones we always have together?" And Carl's like, "Ixnay on the donuts day." And then he's like, "Oh, you did? Look, there's a little jelly on your collar." And he points out some crumbs and stuff.
And Carl's like, "Stop talking, Belky, stop talking." And then Harriet tells Belky to excuse them because there's And she says, this is a family matter,
Yes.
and you're in the line of fire. Is
Very
that a bit of
interesting choice of words.
foreshadowing? Did they know what the name of the show was going to be?
Choice of words. I wonder if they got...
This is a family matter.
No, they say Family Matters in the show where they first introduced Carl, and then it spins off to a show called Family Matters.
Coincidence
or not? I don't know, but I like that. I like that little Easter egg there.
And then Balky says, I'm sorry. If anybody needs me, I'll be over there separating the assault from the battery, by which he means that collection of most wanted posters. So he goes over to his mail table and starts looking through
And then Harriet is grilling Carl, right? He's the cop, but she's the one grilling him. She's like, how many donuts did you eat? He says, none. He goes, how many?
Just one.
How many?
All right, 2, okay, 2.
And then she's not done. She goes, how many, Carl?
All right, 9.
I love the actual number.
9
donuts. All right, 9. Yeah, that's a little much, Carl Winslow. But he's like, I'm paying the price here. But he explains to her he didn't come here to argue. He came to tell her he's not going to be home for dinner because they have him working undercover. Harriet worries when he works undercover. Of course, it's dangerous. But he said he'll be okay. He'll be fine. He'll be home before she knows it.
Yeah. And then he says goodbye. He says bye to Balky. And Balky says, thanks again for Joey the fish. And then he's like, I'm just glad I could get him for you. He's going to be big.
Oh, he must know something about Joey the fish. It's not going to go well for Joey the fish.
And then Carl starts to leave, and Harriet says that she'll walk him to his car. And he's like, no, you don't have to do that. I know the way. And then she stops for a minute and she goes, you have food in that car, don't you? Oh, my God, Harriet, let the man eat.
Yeah, but he's eating 9 donuts. And what food does he have as they walk out? He goes, it's just a little something for the guys. It's a small case of ding-dongs.
Oh, my goodness. What a stereotype.
Of ding-dongs. That's a lot. That's like 20 boxes or something. So I think she does need to stay on his back a little bit.
Yeah, she's good. A good wife.
For the diet.
Okay, so they leave. The Winslows exit, and Larry comes back through the doors upstairs, and he's excited.
Oh, he comes bursting out of the doors,
and he's like,
running.
Balky, and Balky's excited too, maybe about what Larry's going to tell him, but maybe also about Joey the fish. and he's saying, Balky, 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 and he's saying, cousin, 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 and they meet at the foot of the stairs. And Larry jumps into Balky's arms with his legs wrapped around his waist like a child. He catches him,
yeah. And they spin around.
And he's so excited. He's saying, you're looking at Larry Appleton, investigative reporter. And
then they do this great move where they high five each other and then pull their arms back as if to say yes, got it. And but they both do it simultaneously.
Oh, fun.
I think, I don't know if they do this again later, but they're going to start doing this. There's a couple of things that I'm like, are these new running gags that they're trying out here?
Maybe. Or maybe it was just something they improvised.
This synchronized yes move, I thought was great.
Yes. We still do that yes move.
Yeah. High five.
Okay.
Very nice.
So then, Balky's like, congratulations, cousin. Your ship has finally hit the fan.
Your ship has finally hit the fan. So he's combining.
Your ship has sailed.
Your ship has sailed, which is a bad, or your ship has come in.
And your stuff hitting the fan.
And stuff has hit the fan, which is a bad thing.
And then he asks, how fat is your big fat raise? And Larry says, actually, they didn't give him a raise. And Balky's like, okay, doesn't matter. But what about that fancy new office? And then Larry's like, actually, they thought I should just stay here in the basement. And he's like, well, okay, at least you're getting that company car you wanted. And Larry's like, well, no. Balky says, stationery? Nope. Yeah. Business cards? Nope. Pencils with your name on them? Nope. And then finally he's like, cousin, work with me here. I'm trying hard to keep up my enthusiasm.
Yeah, he's not getting a lot of perks from this gig so far. But because he says those things don't matter. This is a huge break for him. He says, I'm on the investigative reporting team of the Chicago Chronicle. That's kind of big. And
he sees it as the first time he's going to be a real reporter, although I think he was already a real reporter. But he's excited about exposing scandals and writing the hard news.
Yes.
And so the phone rings on his desk and he answers it with his new title. They did give him a new title. And his new title is, picks up the phone. He says, Appleton, assistant research liaison to the investigative reporting team of Marshall and Walpole.
So wait, he's the
That's a
assistant. He's not the research liaison.
He's the assistant research
liaison to Marshall and Walpole.
Balky, of course, is impressed with his new title.
Wow.
Anyway, we hear him again on his side of this phone call. He says, "Yes, sir, Mr. Walpole." And he picks up and he's thinking this could be his first like investigative assignment. He's very excited. He picks up a notebook while he's on the phone. He's like, "Yes, sir, I'm ready. Got it. And then he hangs up, and Balky's like, "What is it, cousin? Crime, scandal, hard news?" And Larry says, "Hard salami."
Hard salami. I knew it was going to be a sandwich joke.
And he's a little sad. They want him to get their lunch. And Balky's like, "Well, you still got that snappy title."
Listen, you got to start somewhere, right? You just joined the investigative reporting team, Larry. You got to pay your dues. That's all. So we transition later that night in the apartment. Balky and Larry return, and they turn on the light, and Larry is looking a little dejected because he says, "Balky, my first day as an investigative reporter, and the only thing I exposed was some fatty corned beef."
Yum.
That sounds delicious.
It does.
Unlike rye bread with mustard. Oh my God.
And Balky tells him not to be discouraged because he's still working toward his dream. He's still a member of the investigative reporting team. He says, "Don't you think that Mushmouth and Pole Vault started out where you're starting out?"
Mushmouth
and Pole Vault.
I forgot their real names already.
Marshall and Walpole.
So the Pole's in there, and the Marshall's like, that's hilarious.
Mushmouth and Pole Vault.
He does it again at the end. It's so funny. But I love Mushmouth and Pole Vault.
And he says, like, they started out where you started out.
Yeah.
And he says that he read up on them, and he knows they started at the bottom. They wrote little tiny pieces. Then they moved on to features. Then they started writing bigger stories. Then after a few years, they stumbled onto that milk scandal. And the rest, as they say, is hysterectomy.
That's one of my favorite lines this episode.
The rest is hysterectomy. I'm going to start saying.
So the saying is the rest is history. Hysterectomy is a medical procedure.
Yes.
For women specifically, right?
Yes.
Yes, only for women.
They remove all your lady parts.
Yeah, it's a removal of things. But I laughed out loud when I heard that.
The rest, as they say,
is hysterectomy. That's one of the great ones.
Hysterectomy.
But then, when he mentions milk scandal, Larry's eyes open up and he goes, you see the Appleton gears turning. It's never a good idea when that happens.
Buggy-eyed, determined Larry.
He goes, Balky, you're right. You show me what I have to do. And Balky's like, and not for the first time either. Which is right. And then he goes, cousin, I'm glad you're seeing patience is the key. And Larry goes, what patience? Patience is for losers. I don't have time for patience.
I don't have time for patience. That's brilliant.
It's so great.
I don't have time for patience.
He says, what I need is a sensational story that'll launch me right to the top, just like Marshall and Walpole. But right now, he said he's going to go to bed, and then he's going to get up real early at 3:30, go hang out at Night Court. And Balky goes, love that show. And I was like, oh my God.
Yes.
But Larry's like, there's something bound to happen at Night Court, which is why he's going to go there. And he goes to the bedroom. But when Balky said, love that show.
Oh my gosh. We watched a lot of Night Court.
Watched so much Night Court. Too. And it's funny, this reference, because this is a competing network. Night Court was a sitcom that aired on NBC.
Oh, wow.
This same time. So it ran from 1984 to 1992.
It was a great show.
Great show. If you've never seen it, it was set in a Manhattan municipal court at night. It was filled with a bunch of characters, like the wackiest people, the craziest cases. Harry Anderson played
John Larroquette.
John Larroquette was in it. Richard Mall, remember Bull?
Yeah.
Marky Post, Marsha Warfield, other people. And it was the guy created by Reinhold Weege, who had also created Barney Miller, another cop comedy. I guess we have Brooklyn Nine-Nine now. You don't really see that too much. It's like the only.
See court.
You don't see a courtroom comedy.
Yeah.
Ellie McBeal maybe was like the last one.
Yeah.
There is a new She-Hulk Marvel TV show coming out, and in it, she is a lawyer, and apparently it's supposed to be like an Ellie McBeal type law comedy with a giant green She-Hulk woman.
I think Night Court was the reason I first learned the word bailiff.
Yes, and what a bailiff did.
Or what a bailiff did, yeah.
And like the iconic theme song, remember with the boom, boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom.
Yeah.
Apparently, they're working on a reboot
of Night Court.
Yes, for next season on NBC with John Larroquette, and the judge is going to be Judge Harry's daughter in the show.
Oh, interesting.
She's the judge. John Larroquette's still around.
Wow.
He was so mean and so funny on that show.
It was a good show.
I just remembered this one joke where they're locked in. It's a storm and they can't get out. And this lady is pregnant and she has like 7 babies. She had like a bunch of septuplets in her stomach and the janitor's there. And he's helping deliver the babies. And he just goes, "What is this, a vending machine?" As all the babies come out. I always remember that joke.
But this is not a podcast about Night Court.
Well, we should start one, maybe. It's a great show.
This is a podcast about perfect strangers. So let's get back into our scene. So Larry's on his way to bed to sleep a little before going to Night Court. And as he's passing the door, there's a knock at the front door. So he opens it and it's Carl Winslow.
Carl!
And he's happy and jovial. And he asks if they still don't have a phone at their apartment. And he is expecting a really important call from headquarters. And he had given headquarters Larry and Balky's phone number. So he's like, "Can I hang out here for a while?" And they're like, "Sure, no problem." Larry excuses himself because he has to go to bed. So he says goodbye and he starts to walk toward his bedroom. Meanwhile, Carl and Balky start hanging out. Balky says, how's it going? And Carl says, "It's great. We're this close to busting a big politician." And Larry hears that from way back in the hallway by his bedroom, and he stops and spins around and comes back. And he's like, "I can sleep tomorrow. Let's talk."
Oh, boy, this could be the story.
And he's like, "Suddenly I feel wide awake." Because Balky's like, "I thought you were going to bed." And Larry says, "Guess I'm getting my second wind." And Balky says, "I'll get the antacid."
And he gets something else with the antacid.
My second wind.
"I'll get the antacid." Oh, he's got a little gastrointestinal problem. Is that what's going on?
So Balky goes to the kitchen to get Larry's antacid. And Larry sits with Carl on the couch, and he very not smoothly. He has zero chill here for someone who's trying to be an investigative reporter. Starts like battering him with questions. He's like, you're closing in on a corrupt politician." And Carl says, yes, they're about to spring a trap for the politician and also a big mob kingpin.
And meanwhile, Balky's in the kitchen holding 2 bottles of antacid. He goes, "Cousin, you want mint or original formula?"
And Larry just keeps answering. He's like, "Original." And so Carl explains that this politician has been taking bribes from the mob for years. And Larry's like more and more interested.
Balky interrupts, going, "Cousin, you want a spoon or will you be chug-a-lugging it tonight?"
And Larry goes, "Chug-a-lugging, chug-a-lugging." And then he goes back to Carl. He's like, "So this politician, are we talking local, state, federal, appointed, elected? Did I vote for him? Did you vote for him? Not if I'm getting one." And Carl's like, "Oh, shoot, Larry, I can't say anything more. This is official police business. I've got to remember that I'm talking to a member of the investigative reporting team, and I wouldn't want to see this on the front page."
Just then the phone rings on the counter and Balky picks it up and just goes, "Larry and Balky's Waterworks, which drip do you want to talk to?" And then laughs at his own joke. Is this like, are they trying a new running gag?
I don't know.
Just answers the phone with a silly introduction.
So, yeah.
We'll see if he does that again. It's kind of funny. Which drip do you want to talk to?
Anyway, it's for Carl. It's the phone call he's been waiting for.
And they're so playful because Balky tosses him the receiver and Carl catches it. He goes, 2 points.
Yes.
Like already they got like this
so
banter
friendly,
and this vibe.
He's
like
fun Carl.
He's fun Carl. He fits in right away wherever he goes. So he's on the phone and he goes, "Yeah, it's going down tonight." "All right." And meanwhile, Balky is trying to open the bottle of antacid. And so he goes, "Oh, childproof
this was
cap."
weird. Yeah.
Yes, he puts it in his mouth while Carl is on the phone. And Carl just goes, "Okay, you make sure the alderman is there and I'll bring Carmine."
And while he's talking, he takes the antacid from Balky and just opens it for him and gives it back.
He says on the phone he doesn't suspect a thing, and then he asks for the address to the restaurant, and Carl writes down the address on a pad of paper with a pencil by the phone. Okay, so that's important. So, yes, and all the while Carl just opens the bottle for Balky, gives it to him. And he's like, "Okay, got it. See you in 20 minutes. Bye." He hangs up the phone. He takes the paper with the address from the notebook and starts to leave. And he goes, Look, I shouldn't have told you everything I said about the case I'm working on. If it ever got out, I could be in a lot of trouble, but you guys are my friends. I know you're not going to say anything to anybody. And Belky's like, Carl, don't worry. He goes, your secret is safe with us. And Carl goes, thanks, and starts to leave, right? And end the conversation. Not for Belky, because if anybody knows how to keep a secret, we are those people. Carl's just trying to be polite, like, thank you. Trying to leave, and he tries to leave again. And then Belky goes, so once again, Carl, don't worry. Carl just goes, all right. And then Belky continues, because your secret is safe with us. And he's trying to get out of there, and he finally leaves.
And as soon as he leaves, Belky says, what secret is he talking about?
Belky doesn't
what
even know.
are we talking about?
Doesn't even know
What are we talking about?
Exactly.
And then Larry's got that buggy-eyed, determined look. And he tells Belky, I think Carl's going to make a big bust.
Big bust.
And Belky's like, that's the secret? Carl is interested in sculpting?
Which that is a bust of a person.
A bust.
Right?
A big
the
bust.
head and the chest part. And Larry's like, not that kind of a bust. And then Belky holds up his hands in front of his chest to indicate boobs.
Yeah.
Right? Larry just goes, no.
No. Larry's like no.
Because a bust means Carl is going to arrest a crooked politician who's involved with organized crime. This is the story I'm looking for. He is all excited about this story.
Oh, boy. And he already forgot everything Carl said about keeping it a secret.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah.
So this is Larry's grand plan. He runs to the kitchen counter. He picks up the notepad and he's like, all I have to do is rub a pencil across this pad. You know how this is another thing they've done in all the shows we used to watch.
Sometimes it works.
Detective shows.
Yes.
If the person wrote hard enough, there's an imprint on the next page.
And you can pick up the writing.
And you rub a pencil against it and you can get the impression and find out where the arrest is going to happen.
It's still a trope that's used in these CSI shows. I'm pretty sure.
And he starts rubbing a pencil. And Balky's onto him now. He's like, wait, why are you going to do that? And Larry says, I'm going to put this story on the front page of the Chronicle. And Balky says, on the front page, someone might see it.
Oh, no.
Okay, Larry says, yes, everyone will see it. And then Balky snatches the notepad from Larry. But Larry starts to rub with the pencil without the notepad.
There.
Yeah,
it's
like a cartoony scene. And Balky says, cousin, I don't think so. They promised Carl they would keep a secret, and Balky intends to keep their word.
Uh-oh.
And Larry looks shocked. And Balky is like, nope. And then we fade to black at the end of Act 1.
Oh, Larry needs that pad of paper with that information. Listener, let us know what you think of this episode or any episode. Join the conversation. Join our Facebook group. There's a link in the show description where I post threads for every episode we are recording before we record. So you can watch along on Amazon Freebie. It's weird. I'm going to get used to saying that. I have to get used to Freebie. Watch along and leave your comments or thoughts or just hang out. Meet other Perfect Strangers fans. There's a lot of great
nerd
people.
out about the details.
Nerd out about the cousins. What was that in the background? All that sort of stuff.
Yes. Where is the front door of the apartment now?
Why has the door moved? Where's Dimitri?
Yes, where is Dimitri? Okay. Let's roll into Act 2. We're exactly where we left off. They're fighting over this pad. Balky has the notepad. Larry's like, give it to me. Here we have some physical comedy. Larry grabs Balky by the shirt, as they often do, pulls him close to his face. They're face to face. Balky, I need the address on that pad. He has to be there when Carl makes the arrest because this is his big story. This is what's going to get him to the big time. Well, he says, this is my big story. This is my ticket to the big time. And Balky says, well, in this case, you don't have a ticket to ride. Ticket to Ride, of course, being a Beatles song.
Yes, Beatles reference. I love that.
And basically they're fighting. Balky says Carl told them to keep it a secret and he's going to keep it a secret. And then Larry's like, hey, he lets him go. And he's like, hey, I don't have a problem with that. And he says, you keep it a secret, but give me the pad. And Larry hits the bottom of Balky's hand. So the notepad flies up and then he snatches it. Again, another cartoony
That's a great move. Yeah. There's a couple of great quick snatches here.
And then they do a little chase around the counter in the kitchen, which is so funny. You'd think that thing wasn't big enough to like run and chase.
There's a
They
lot
do
of
a lot of chasing.
Yeah, a lot
in
of
this
running
apartment.
around. It seems huge.
Yeah. And then Balky says, cousin, if you build a career by betraying a friend, you'll hate yourself. And Larry, without skipping a beat, says, I'd get over it. Whoa, Larry is despicable sometimes.
Sometimes he has no scruples because there's other times where he's just like, I'd be fine with it. I'd move on.
And then Balky very deftly snatches the pad out of Larry's hand again, and they take chase again through the living room.
Balky ends up by the fireplace and he grabs the little chimney broom and turns and holds it up as Larry's like standing on the sofa. And Balky's like, stand back or I'll sweep you into tomorrow.
Whatever that means.
Whatever that means. And Larry's just like, Balky, give me that pad. But Balky has the broom. And he's like, this is wrong. He's holding him off with the broom. Carl don't want us to have this information. And at that point, Larry goes, oh, that's what's bothering you. And then Balky's like, yes.
Here we get Larry going into his manipulative
He's starting to spin this. He would have been great in like marketing and advertising and a politician because he's great at spinning things. He goes, oh, you think Carl doesn't want us to have that information? Balky's like, that is correct. And Larry goes, well, Balky, that's not correct. He goes, the truth is, and then when he's saying the truth is, you can see him make the plan. The truth, and then he goes, the truth is that Carl wants me to have that address. You see, this is the way information is passed from undercover cops to investigative reporters.
And Balky is confused. He says, if Carl wanted you to have this information, why didn't he just come out and say it?
Larry's like, well, you can't do that.
Because he'd get in trouble. He says, we wouldn't want that to happen now, would we? And Balky's like, no. And Larry's like, yeah, no, we don't. And then Balky's still trying to understand. He said, but you said that Carl wants you to have this address. And Larry said, yes, he does. He can't just give it to me. That's why he told me to keep it a secret. And he says, Balky, think about it. And then Balky does that thing where he turns his head and think. Furrows his brow as if he's thinking about it. And Larry says, if Carl didn't want me to put it in the paper, he wouldn't have told me to keep it a secret. What?
Balky's like, well, he looks confused. He's like, what? And he throws the broom. He goes, wait a minute. Are you saying that Carl gave us a secret and told us to keep that secret a secret, but that really wasn't what he wanted? What he really wanted was for you to put that secret on the front page of the newspaper so that everyone can know the secret that we are supposed to be keeping a secret?
Exactly.
Balky goes, exactly what?
Exactly. And he says, exactly what you just said.
Balky's like, I don't know what I just said. He goes, all I know is you had a wind problem. I went into the kitchen to get the antacid. I couldn't get the top off. The wind problem.
And then Larry here is like full on manipulative Larry. He says, Balky. Look, this is all very simple. Carl told us to keep a secret, hoping we would make it public. On the other hand, if Carl had told us to make it public, we would be honor bound to keep it a secret because Carl knows a secret, being a secret, is the only thing worth making public. Otherwise, why call it a secret? and Balky just
finally
gives up.
Breaks him down. Balky just goes, take the pad. He goes, I have a headache. And you know what we just witnessed? We witnessed a perfect example of the Appleton snow job.
Oh, yeah. We haven't had an Appleton snow job
We
for a
have
while.
a lot. I mean, it got its name from the original snow job, but this is an Appleton snow job.
This is an Appleton
He just
snow job.
twisted and turned and spun everything and got Balky confused. I got him to go with it. It's quite amazing skill if you think about what he just did.
Yeah. He
convinced Balky that a secret is meant to be public.
He Bugs Bunnied him.
He totally Bugs Bunnied him.
He definitely Bugs Bunnied him.
Appleton snow job in effect.
Yes. All right. So Balky gives up, gives him the pad, and he goes back to grabs the pencil, and he rubs it across the paper.
He's like, and then he goes,
nothing.
There's nothing here.
He says it always works in the movies, and then he's like, now how am I going to find out where Carl is making the arrest? And Balky is still thinking through the words. He's like, he gave us a secret. He wanted to keep a secret. And Larry's now getting frustrated. He says, Balky, why can't I ever get a break? And then Balky's like, oh, don't worry, cousin. It's the Sideshow Restaurant, 6818 West Fullerton. And Larry's like, just looks at him like, what?
He said he glanced at the pad while he was writing it down.
Yes.
Balky's pornographic memory returns. Also, I appreciate they used Fullerton. That is a real
It is, but the
street in Chicago.
restaurant.
Well, we'll get to that in a second when we see it. The restaurant is not in Chicago.
But Fullerton is definitely a Chicago major street. So then Larry's like, we got to go. We've got 10 minutes to get there. And he like grabs a tape recorder. He grabs their jackets. And then he's like trying to get Balky out the door. And Balky's still talking to himself saying, if we put it on the front page of the newspaper, then everyone will know the secret that we are supposed to be keeping a secret. And Larry's like, let's go. And then he just pulls him out the front door. And Balky's still trying to make sense of it all.
Then we transition to a new location. We see an exterior establishing shot of the Sideshow restaurant. And it was a real bar. It was a Sideshow bar located on Hollywood Boulevard in Los Angeles, 6818 Hollywood Boulevard. So they kept the same numbers of the address.
Okay.
And changed it to Fullerton.
The inside, strangely, looks a lot like the beer bar from last episode.
Wild Bill's Beer Bar.
Or that fancy restaurant. The French restaurant, was it? Or the Italian restaurant?
These are all the same sets. Yes.
Before?
Redressed. So.
Yes. So then we go inside the Sideshow restaurant, and there's like a bunch of older, like white guys,
a lot of people
around,
suits.
milling around. Yeah. Distinguished people. And
there's a black woman in the background too, though.
Oh,
this is pretty diverse.
There's some diversity.
Oh, there's a couple of black women in there, and there's some women in there.
Okay. I take it back. And so then we find out that these are all policemen. They're all in suits and like plain clothes. And there's also an alderman there because we hear one of the police officers saying, hey, addressing the alderman. And he says, I'm glad you could make it. And the alderman says, well, there's no way I was going to miss Sergeant Burgetti's surprise party.
Oh, this is a surprise party for a
it's
sergeant.
Not the bust at all.
Or is it? It's not clear. Even at the end of this thing, I'm not sure what the bust was, but go on. Like, this wasn't a misunderstanding. He clearly said, we're going to bust this politician and a crime bust.
There was two different things he was talking about. I was just thinking about that.
That
I was like,
me.
Why the phone call was about a surprise party. Crime bust was the answer to Balky's question, which is, how's it going, Carl?
Oh, so these are two different events happening.
I'm working on a big thing, and we're about to bust these people.
So misunderstanding.
It was set up to make the misunderstanding.
Basic sitcom misunderstanding.
Yes.
Okay, I was a little lost on that. I was like, what happened about the crime bust?
Yes.
What was going on? Anyways.
But if you remember, when Carl first comes to their apartment, he says, I'm waiting on an important phone call from headquarters.
Right.
The call he's waiting for is about the surprise party.
Gotcha.
But the way he talked about it, of course, made Larry think he's talking about
audience. Yes.
and us think he's talking about the bust. Anyway, now we find out it's a surprise party, and the alderman says, after all, Carmine is one of the best cops on the force. So how's Carl going to get him here without spoiling the surprise? And then the other cop's like, how do you get a cop to go anywhere? You promise him a free meal, right?
See, cops
what
love
is
free
it with
food.
cops and
Donuts
food?
And food. They just love food.
Okay, so then they like start mingling about, okay?
So the alderman is played by this character actor, Richard McGonigal.
Yeah.
It's Alderman Zittel. And he also was in this 2-part episode of Family Ties. Do you remember the episode where one of Alex Keaton's friends died, and then he played Father Timothy, the monk, who he helped sort with depression?
No.
Remember, there was a lot of like black backgrounds and single spotlights, and it was a really deep episode.
Dramatic.
It was a wild 2-part Family Tie. I remember that episode. It was very good.
Yeah, and also we find out from the alderman in this intro scene that like he says, with all the cops in here, who's minding the city? So that, I think, line is just for us to know that there are a lot of cops.
Yes, the place is full of cops.
They're all in regular clothes, but they're there for this
Yeah.
surprise party, but there's a lot of cops there.
The other policeman is played by Jack McGee, another prolific character actor who's in a bunch of things like NYPD Blue, Malcolm in the Middle, Rescue Me. He did a lot of stuff. So both of these guys were like big character actors.
So then Larry and Balky enter this restaurant, and Larry's in this like huge.
Oh
She's
my God.
like swimming
it's a
in
giant
this big
trench
like
coat.
green trench coat,
Yes.
and it's belted at the waist, which makes his waist look super tiny.
It's not inconspicuous at all.
Yeah,
He sticks out.
huge trench coat. And so they come in and they have a look around, and again we're seeing like all these police officers and city people in plain clothes. And Larry's like, look at this place. It's crawling with criminals.
Clearly has no clue who's ever there. Balky's like, they look like nice people to me. And then we get another Balky. He goes, when you've been on the street as long as I have, there are some things you just know.
And Balky says, I have been on the street as long as you have. We left the house at the same time.
He's got a point.
Yeah, what is Larry talking
Larry's
about?
not been on
You're
any
not
street
on
at
any
all.
street.
Get
Yeah.
out of here, Larry. He's just trying to
Not from the
be
streets.
macho. And then he's like, just stick close to me. Try not to draw attention to yourself. And Balky's like right behind him, and they walk, and he bumps right into something. He just goes, planter.
These like plants in the middle of the room. Yeah.
Then he walks around the planter, and then you see him go plop and fall.
Straight
and
down.
Balky picks him up from the coat. He goes, loose tile, careful. And they walk.
How
and
does he fall completely
I
to
don't
the
know.
ground
That was
from
the
a
best.
loose
Behind
tile?
the planter, you just see him
Yeah.
disappear, flop, and then instantly get pulled up. And then they scuttle over to the bars, and then they both hop on the bar simultaneously.
bar
It's so
stools.
funny. There's some great
They
physical
hop
comedy
onto
here.
bar
Yeah, 2 bar
stools.
stools at the same time.
They've done that in every other bar scene
Yeah.
too. At the singles bar, they hopped on
They're
like that. Yeah.
And Larry's sitting and looking, and we get a, oh my Lord. He goes, Alderman Zittrell is sitting at a table in the corner. He must be the crooked politician Carl is going to arrest. And then another older gentleman goes to the table, shakes his hand, sits down, and Larry gives you another, oh my Lord. He goes, that's the chief of police with him. He must be a crook too. What a story. And then he needs to know what they're talking about. He reaches into his pocket, and he's brought his tape recorder.
Yeah.
I guess that's a smart thing to do as an investigative reporter.
Yeah, or any reporter.
Always have your tape recorder. He goes, I'm going to try to tape their conversation. Wait here. First of all, that is a very risky, brave move.
Yeah.
For the Larry Appleton to be like, I'm going to plant
Larry's
this
trying
giant
to
tape
make
recorder.
his career with this story.
Oh, he's all in.
You know.
And as he leaves, Balky just leans back and goes, can I have a Shirley Temple over here?
And Larry hears him because he's so loud, and he comes back to the bar stool and he goes, wait here. Don't speak. Don't move.
He's got to be very specific. And then this is so slick. He's walking by this one table. He notices a basket of bread.
Empty bread basket.
Empty bread basket. And he grabs the basket. And then he passes another table. And he notices bread in their basket. He's like, here, let me freshen that for you. And he just takes the basket and puts the bread in the basket and puts the tape recorder
under the bread
in the basket, continues to the alderman's table. He just walks up to the table. He stands there and he puts the basket between them. He goes, there you are. And they're like, thank you. And he hurries away. Success. He's successfully planted a tape recorder.
That doesn't make sense to me, because what if they eat the bread and then see the tape recorder in there?
Well, yeah, that'll.
It was only a few
hidden,
pieces of bread.
It's not hidden very well.
Yes.
But do you really look inside your bread basket when you just
because sometimes there's different kinds of
absentmindedly
breads in
grabbing bread? These people are in conversation. They're not going to eat bread.
Right.
I don't know. It's a very risky move. But he got a tape recorder on their table.
Yes, and he goes back to the bar where Balky's sitting. He hops back onto the bar stool. Balky
does have a Shirley Temple.
Shirley Temple with a little umbrella in it.
He got his drink.
And Larry's excited. He thinks he's about to blow the lid off the biggest story in town. And he says, if Carl hadn't let this slip, I'd still be getting lunch for those bozos, Marshall and Walpole.
Uh-oh.
And then Balky hears it, and he puts down his drink.
And he turns him around. He's like facing away. He turns his stool toward him.
And he goes, let it slip.
Oh, no.
You told me that Carl wanted us to have this information. And Larry's like, oh, no, he did. Let it slip is a generic term which can be used to denote one who wants to convey information. And he's trying to continue the snow job. And Balky just says, cousin, cut the bullwinkle. Larry admits that he lied. And he's like, big deal. I'm trying to build a career here. If you have a problem with that, go home. And he's like, so mean now. And Balky's like, I will, but first, I'm going to get that tape recorder.
You think people, our listeners know Cut the Bullwinkle?
Bullwinkle being a reference to Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Yeah, the great animated cartoon show.
Yes.
From a long time ago, only aired from 1959 to 1964, and a lot of reruns. And weirdly enough, ran on two networks, on ABC and NBC. But yeah, Bullwinkle. Rocky the squirrel.
Rocky was a squirrel.
Yeah, flying squirrel.
And Bullwinkle was a moose.
Cut the Bullwinkle.
Yes.
And then we have some great physical comedy here as Balky goes towards their table, and Larry jumps off his bar stool, runs after Balky, and grabs him. And
grabs his arm.
Grabs his arms and tells him, "You are interfering with the freedom of the press." And Balky's like, "Oh, psh." And he starts to walk to the table, but Larry has his arms around him, and his feet don't move, and he just leans to the side a little
like
bit.
A Michael Jackson
totally
smooth
looks
criminal
like smooth criminal move.
Yeah.
And Balky's like, "What?" Looks at him, and he steps back, and he tries to step again, and he leans, and then Balky leans back, and now he's leaning the other way, and Larry's upright. It's kind of a funny lean back and forth they do here real quick.
Anyway, yeah. And then they both make their way to the table where the alderman and the chief of police are. And
they're like fighting with each other the whole time.
And then Larry's got sort of does that bear hug grabbing around Balky. And then they both, here we have their classic in unison. Hi.
Yes, they're at the table with the alderman.
And they're just, the alderman and the police chief just like staring at them like, who are you? And they're like, "What do you want?" And Balky says, "I want your bread." And he tries to take and the alderman's like, "The bread's fine." And Balky's like, "Okay, then I'll get you some more." And he manages to take the bread basket. Larry's angry, but they leave from the table. They bump into the planter again. Larry says, "Planter." And then
They walk around the planter.
They walk around it. Larry drops again. And Balky lifts him up again, and Larry goes, "Loose tile. Careful."
And they get to the bar stools, and they hop up simultaneously back again. And Larry's like, "Are you happy you could have got us killed?" And then Larry pulls out the tape recorder and rewinds it and presses play. And they hear the chief of police going, "Don't worry, everything's all set. As soon as Carl comes in that door with Carmine, boom, we'll let him have it." And they're like, "Oh." And then the alderman's like, "I can't wait to see his face. He's going to die when," and then you hear them go, "Hi," on the recording, and it stops right there. So all they heard is that Carl's going to bring in Carmine. They're going to let him have it, and he's going to die.
So Larry is freaking out because now he thinks that Alderman Zattrell is planning to murder Carl.
Oh, no.
And he's like, "We have to get out of here and warn him." And they get up to leave, but just as they're getting up to leave, a policeman comes into the bar and says, quiet down, everyone, they're coming." And Alderman Zattrell, he addresses everyone in the bar. He's like, "Okay, this is it. Now, when I give the signal," and he's trying to explain the instructions, and Larry's like, "Balky, we have to stop him." And together, as all the alderman's talking, they lunge at him and they grab him and they cover his mouth. They pull him down, and then immediately all the cops in the room
swarm around
and they swarm around him.
Even the bartender
with guns pointed at Balky and Larry.
They all have revolvers. The bartender has a shotgun. This looks like the end of every Quentin Tarantino movie suddenly in the standoff. And then Carl enters with the Sergeant Brigetti. He goes, "Surprise!"
But then no one. He yells surprise by himself. Everyone else is focused on Balky and Larry with their guns pointed at him. And so Carl yells surprise by himself, and Balky just goes, "Well, you got that right."
Yeah, it was a surprise. So they ruined the birthday party. They're at gunpoint, multiple gunpoints,
Larry,
for Carl. Oh boy, this is it's gives you goose chills, like
so
cringe chills.
We don't see then how it gets sorted out.
No, you never see how these things get resolved because we just cut back at the apartment that night. Everything's been sorted out, and Carl's in the doorway, and Larry is apologizing profusely.
He says he's really embarrassed and he's sorry about everything. And Carl just says, "Don't worry about it.
Big smile on his face.
You're already a legend downtown. They'll be laughing at you for years." And Larry just has this stressed look on his face.
And Balky's like, "Oh, cousin, isn't that nice? And you thought you made a fool of yourself."
And then Carl's like, "I better go. Harriet waits up for me. She likes to dust me for fingerprints." Larry's like, doesn't she trust you when you work undercover? And Carl's like, oh, no, it's nothing like that. It's just a little thing we do.
And the look on his face is so weird.
Like some weird kink.
It's so weird. They got really weirdly kinky for a second.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, it's nothing like that.
This was racy with the mention of cocaine that got cut. And then this like some weird
role play about cops and robbers.
They do,
and crime. Maybe it's like a crime scene role play.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe let me dust your fingerprints. What does that mean? I don't know.
And then, he gives like a big, wide, kind of creepy smile and goes
It's so
out
funny.
the door. And so then Larry and Balky are on the couch, and Larry's feeling very sorry for himself, as he often does. And he says, some investigative reporter, I blew the lid off a surprise party. And then we get our music, which means, of course, it's lesson time. As the lesson time music plays, Balky tells Larry not to be so down on himself. He says, you're a good writer and a hard worker, and someday you're going to be just as famous as Maytag and Whirlpool.
Oh, Maytag and Whirlpool. And I love that he named 2 washing machine companies.
Maytag and Whirlpool that are famous.
Machines. Yes, and they are.
Marshall and Whirlpool. Maytag and Whirlpool.
Yes. Way more famous than Mushmouth.
Very
and
clever.
Pole
Yeah. And Larry says, do you really think I'm a good writer? And Balky says, of course I do. Don't be ridiculous. And Larry realizes, well, maybe Balky's right. If I just hang in there, work hard, my time will come. And then Balky says, final joke, of course it will. Remember, cousin, patience is a virgin. And roll credits. Of course, he means patience is a virtue.
He got close.
Virgin.
Patience is a virgin.
Yes.
Another sex reference. Sometimes this show gets really racy for a family primetime 1989 show. It's crazy that some of the things we have.
Yes.
Listener, check out our TeePublic shop if you want to get some swag and show the world that you listen to Dance of Joy and you're a Perfect Strangers fan. Visit danceofjoypod.com/shop. It'll take you right there. There's a link in the show notes and you can buy hoodies, t-shirts, mugs, cell phone cases, lots of stuff with the logo. You can pick your colors on the apparel. It's lots of fun. Check it out today. I thought this was a pretty good episode.
Yeah, it served its purpose. We got Carl Winslow. We had a classic misunderstanding. We have Larry making a fool of himself.
We got Appleton Snow Job. And I mean, the big thing is Larry becomes part of this investigative reporting team. He's an official member of this team, which is crazy.
Yes.
Remember, the idea for an investigative reporting team was his from that episode High Society a few episodes ago from this season, where he told the owner, he's like, you should have this. And remember Bobo?
Yeah.
And Big Bobo?
Big Bobo.
And Marshall and Walpole, of course, similar to your Woodward and Bernstein type reporters.
I do think so we had a lesson, which is the lesson that Larry learned that
hang in there, work hard, pay your dues.
But there's another lesson that was completely lost on Larry, which is don't betray the secrets of your friends.
That's a good point. That's a more important lesson.
That's not even addressed at the end. Larry was completely fine. And also Carl wasn't pissed at him at all at the end when they figured.
I wonder if Carl got in trouble.
Carl, I would have been so annoyed. He was like, don't. Yeah. And Carl shouldn't have been talking about this stuff in the first place.
Does Larry know the ethics about your sources and keeping them confidential?
No, he's not a real reporter.
He's not a real investigative reporter. He's just getting him lunch. These are the things he's going to have to learn if he wants to work with Mushmouth and Maytag.
Yeah.
Or whatever they're called.
Maytag and Whirlpool.
Maytag and Whirlpool. Mushmouth and Pole Vault. But, I mean, last episode had a little bit better physical comedy with the hanging on the hooks, reach for the chair.
This one had some physical with comedy. The loose tile.
Yeah. But some great Balky lines. The timing was great. I think it was a solid episode.
And another episode, just like I think we've had 2 in a row where Bronson Pinchot struggles and fights hard.
Oh, he was laughing a lot. Yeah, he's trying not to crack at this one a lot, which is always great.
He was breaking a little bit more in this episode than
What
usual.
did the listeners think, sister?
All right. We have cousin John Corbett, one of our newer cousins.
Yes, our new cousin John.
John Corbett. John Corbett, are you the actor John Corbett? I hope you are.
From what was that show in Alaska with the doctor? Northern Exposure.
Yes.
John Corbett was the Northern Exposure.
He was on Sex and the City too.
Yes, he was. That's the same. Yeah.
John Corbett. Okay. We are nerds. We only something to know about brother, sister, Imran and Sophia. We watched a lot of TV. We did not do many other extracurriculars as children. There were no summer camps for us. No sports. Just
every frame of reference I have is from TV shows.
Television. Anyway,
yes.
Cousin John Corbett. Maybe you're the actor. Maybe you're not. Cousin John Corbett wrote one of my favorite episodes from season 4. I thought Carl was going to be a great new neighbor. I should have realized this was a trial run for a spinoff, not quite a backdoor pilot. Given that Reginald Vell Johnson was already famous as the cop from Die Hard, this was pretty logical casting.
Yeah, Die Hard came out like a year before this episode.
So
he was
there's
Al
like
Powell.
a little triangle between Die Hard, Perfect Strangers, and
Reginald
Family Matters.
And Family Matters. But he makes just the perfect cop. Also, John Corbett loved you in My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Yes.
That. You're fantastic.
All our favorite John Corbetts.
Yes. Thanks for writing it, John.
Cousin John Adama, always with the great insights, says the PS Today segment is going to be awfully short with cell phones.
Yeah, he has a point.
This
we'll get
is
to that.
true. We'll get to that. Also, he writes, not bad, all things considered. Carl gets plenty of screen time, but it makes sense in the story. I wish we could have spent more time with the guys preventing the murder, since I think that could have upped the stakes and the comedy.
Where they would try to do more things in the bar
to prevent the surprise.
But it happened so quickly. They found out and then he came in.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean, you probably there might have been more in the script that had to get cut for time.
Sure.
And finally, we have cousin Pam Hitchcock, who asks, what happened to Larry's dream of being a photojournalist?
That's a very good question. Because that's what he's all about. Now he wants to be investigative reporter.
She says, it seems to have been forgotten.
Yep,
Larry is using the same journalistic techniques that he used in the Dolly Parton episode. This was an okay episode for me, not a Family Matters fan. I prefer when lying, scheming, manipulating Larry isn't used so much and Balky isn't completely gullible. Fair points.
But that was the two main things we had. Super conniving Larry and super gullible Balky, who just believed the secret is a public thing.
But unlike previous episodes, the connivingness doesn't get addressed in the lesson time.
No.
And Balky just lets him do it this time because he got tired of thinking about it.
Yeah, take the pad. Yeah, he just wore him out. Yeah, and how about you honor your promises you make to friends?
Yeah, don't betray your friends.
Don't be ridiculous. What's said one time?
Of course I have. Don't be ridiculous.
We did not see the Dimitri sheep.
No, but it would have been cute if Dimitri was dressed as a cop.
As a cop,
or something.
or in a suit, like he was the alderman, or it was cop would have been great.
Yeah,
I think that would have worked.
All right. Now let's talk about what cousin John Adama said, because now we are at the segment of our show that we call PS Today or Perfect Strangers Today, in which we discuss if we were to redo this episode today in 2022, what things would be different. Would the story hold up? Would it need some modification? So cousin John says there would be no episode because we'd have cell phones.
Well, there's multiple moments where the landline phone is important in this episode, right?
Yes.
At the very beginning.
The whole episode is based on this need for the landline.
There's no other phones Harriet can use to call home, right? There's only the one. And then you're a cop and you give your boss, call me at this dude's apartment upstairs. No, you're going to have a cell phone. You can get in touch with everyone.
In the 80s didn't have, but they had walkie-talkies and stuff.
You would have a walkie-talkie. You'd have a way to communicate. We're talking about PS Today. If you did it today.
Oh, today, you'd have.
The point is you're not going to someone's house because you gave them their phone number.
Yeah, you wouldn't. You really don't ever need to. Yeah, that's right.
Most people, landlines are going away. A lot of people do not have landlines. You
wouldn't need to use anybody. Yeah, this wouldn't hold up. The premise wouldn't hold up at all. It would have to be completely different. Also,
they would have to overhear. Well, they did overhear him, but how would they? I don't know how you would get Carl in a position where he's talking about this to them when it's like police business. And why is he telling them all this? This is confidential police business.
Why did Carl say anything in the first place? Yeah. Also, this idea that the assistant research liaison was asked to get them lunch.
Yeah.
That wouldn't hold up today. People would be like, that's not in my contract. That's not my job.
I guess now you could say that.
You can get your own lunch.
You could get away with that back
I am
in
a
the
research
day.
Liaison. Yes.
Sir, this is not what I signed up for.
Yes. That's the one thought I had.
Somebody's got to get the lunch. I mean,
those are admin people or something.
Your secretary or somebody, front office.
Or interns or something.
Intern.
Even interns is like not cool to send them for lunch anymore.
You can't do that anymore?
No.
That's sad.
Got to give them real work.
Yeah. And
Help 'em
get
grow.
my sandwich. Here's my dry cleaning. And look this up.
That's the thought I had. But yeah, essentially this episode we'd have to set up the misunderstanding in a different way.
There's still cop bars, right? There's still bars where all the cops hang out, so you could still do that bit.
Yeah.
And make it funny, but yeah.
Also, you wouldn't write anything down on a piece of paper for the address. You'd just be like,
text it to me.
Text me the directions.
Here's the directions.
Or
there'd be no
pin,
way
drop
for
a
them
pin.
to find out unless they hack the phone.
Carl left his phone. Came
Yes.
by to borrow something, left his phone unlocked, and they see a message with the address or something like that. And
So Carl could have forgotten his phone.
It
maybe.
can be done. It just would need a significant rewrite of the premise, of the setup part. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. But the misunderstanding is always always good. You can always get to a misunderstanding.
That's all I have for Perfect Strangers today. Do people still have surprise parties? That's true.
Yes. And there are cops still carry guns.
And there are still corrupt aldermen.
There's still corrupt aldermen and mob bosses.
Yeah.
Sure. It's Chicago. We've heard this. That's it for this week. Stay tuned because next week, the cousins get to go on a game show.
Game show?
Yeah, a crazy game show. And, of course, crazy things are going to happen. They were kind of on a game. Well, they were on
grocery game.
There was a grocery game. That was a promotion event. This is like a televised game show.
Proper game show. Yeah, that sounds fun.
In the meantime, if you want to support the show, visit our website. Visit danceofjoypod.com/support, and you'll see a button that says "Buy us a coffee." You can buy us a virtual coffee. You can buy us several coffees. It helps keep the show going, and we appreciate all your support. Everybody who has bought us a coffee or two in this journey so far, thank you.
Helps keep us awake on TGIF nights.
Yes, we need caffeinated
Happy TGIF.
TGIF.
TGIF. Happy TGIF. In the meantime, everyone, please check us out at danceofjoypod.com and get in touch. If you're enjoying what we do, if you're enjoying Perfect Strangers, get in touch. Let us know on our website, danceofjoypod.com. You can find all the places where you can listen to the podcast, like and subscribe. You can leave us reviews on Apple Podcasts or right there in the website. You can leave us a voice message right there from the website, or you can email us at danceofjoypod@gmail.com or follow us on our social media accounts. It's all right there on our website. But Imran, what is the most important thing our listeners should do?
When working undercover, find the largest trench coat you can find because that's how you'll know you're undercover.
Always talk about your secret police business to your friends.
Out to everyone. Now, the most important thing is to share the show, spread the joy of Dance of Joy, and turn people onto the show or find other Perfect Strangers fans in your life that you never knew they were also Perfect Strangers fans. You'll be surprised.
You'll be surprised. It is a great community builder, this show.
Thanks for listening, listener. And now we are so happy.
Now we are so happy we do the dance of joy.
Hey, 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 hey.